Well, hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Brian Fasulo, and today we have a really distinguished panel of experts here today to not only uncover, but perhaps find some real solutions for home insurance industry and really the homeowners themselves. So directly to my left, please say hello to Paul Handerhan. He's the president of the Federal Association for Insurance Reform and been a very busy man as of late.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. FAIR is a nonprofit, nonpartisan national trade organization. We deal with a whole host of insurance issues. What's unique about FAIR is we have a very diverse board of directors. We're made up of every stakeholder that's touched by insurance, so we get a lot of input from all the different players, and we look for balanced public policy reform that benefits consumers.
Fantastic. We look forward to diving in deeper. Next to him is Glenn Stevens, who is a contractor and a Florida Association of Building Inspectors. And Glenn, I'm sure you're going to have lots to say. You've seen it, you've done it, and very recently we had some legislation that could benefit us.
Correct. Yeah, and Brian, thank you for including me. You know, for the construction side, yes, by all means. I've been doing construction my entire life. I grew up here in Florida with it, and for the last 7 years now, I've been with the Florida Association of Building Inspectors, who essentially is the Home Inspectors Association for the state. And so from that, I'm also the education chair. So, you know, we're trying to educate our home inspectors to the best of our abilities to make sure we're all uniformed.
Fantastic. Next to him, Mr. Mike Fasulo, who is a longtime roofing contractor and now become an industry disruptor. Mike, we're going to get into the challenges, especially in the state of Florida, that has been essentially the degradation of roofs themselves, but also perhaps the actors therein. And I know you've been working diligently against all of that.
Yes, thanks for having me on as well. And yeah, I've been in the roofing business as a roof replacement contractor since the mid-'80s. And then most recently in 2013, we sold a replacement business and went to the other side. We are disrupting the roofing industry with a roof rejuvenation treatment that can extend the life of roofs, because today's product has 1/3 less asphalt than, let's say, your childhood home.
Excellent. We look forward to diving in that deeper. And then perhaps our star guest joining us via the internet is the one and only State Representative Chairman Bob Rommel, who not too long ago passed one of the largest insurance reforms in state history. Sir, that since then it's still been a challenge, but Tallahassee is absolutely making moves in the positive direction, and thank you for joining us here today.
Brian, thanks for having me. And I'm not sure, how famous or exclusive I am, but I appreciate the accolades. And since I've been elected, insurance reform has been one of my key areas that I've been working on. And it's not because I'm in love with insurance companies, but I'm in love with Florida. And the property insurance has been an issue for years. And getting down to the nut and bolts of the problem, I think we've gotten there. And I think with the legislation that we just passed a couple of weeks ago, where we're going to see real reform that will come to the market. We're going to attract a bit more capital to the market. We're going to attract more carriers. And we're going to give consumers more options. And I think that's going to be the solution. It's easy for people to blame, one industry or the insurance companies because rates are high, but rates are high for a reason. And what we passed is going to address those.
Yeah, I'd hate to say that we're at epidemic proportions, but the homeowners are feeling it. I'm a Florida resident myself. We've all seen our insurance go up 10% per year for a long time and get worse. And I guess the truth is that a lot of these problems fall back on you vis-a-vis Citizens, which has become, I believe, the largest insurer in Florida and doesn't even want to be in the insurance business.
Well, obviously real estate's an important part of our economy here in Florida. Besides that, in the hospitality industry, that's the two biggest industries we have. And if we can get carriers that have their own capital to the state. Originally, when Citizens was formed, it was a backstop because carriers left after some storms. But it's become the carrier first choice or only choice for so many Citizens because, again, the large carriers, and I don't want to mention them by name, but ones that we see on TV, they don't want to come here and take a big risk in Florida. And it wasn't because of hurricanes and storms. It was because of bad actors.
So Glenn, let's talk about some of these bad actors. Some call them storm chasers. Some would call them, they're able to knock on a door, solicit a home, and paint this wonderful picture for these people where they'll get a free roof. Even oftentimes their deductible is covered by damage inside the house. How big of a problem is this, and are we on the right track?
It's a huge problem, actually. And so what we're seeing industry-wise, these bad actors, if you will, they're coming in right after a storm, right after a hailstorm, and they're really blanketing an entire community, and it really does create chaos in the industry, because they're coming in with somewhat inflated pricing to get the job and to hand off to the insurance companies. And as a result, they start these litigation processes. It's critical that we try to control that the best that we can.
And the litigation has gotten completely out of control. The statistics that I've heard that I'm sure one of you can speak to, we have more. Can you explain that to us, Paul?
Yeah, just to add a few comments and how this process really works. You can have a situation where you have like a hurricane comes in, right? Everybody knows if your house was damaged by a hurricane or not. Where we see the biggest problem with some of the bad actors are these type of like non-catastrophic weather events. So that would be like a localized convective storm, a hailstorm, tornadoes, all these type of events that go through an area. You see the contractors coming in afterwards, but sometimes it's 6 or 7 months afterwards. And what they're doing is they're canvassing these areas, and they're just looking for any damage on the roof. Now, if you have a roof that's 10 years old, 15 years old, you're gonna have some natural weathering on that roof. The problem winds up being when these roofers or contractors go out and offer a free inspection, if they see some normal wear or tear or weathering on the roof, almost always they're associating it back to that weather event and saying, hey, listen, this was caused by this event, it's covered by your insurance, we can get you a free roof just like we did for your neighbor. But one of the caveats is you have to sign this assignment of benefits. That assignment of benefits gives them the ability to file the lawsuit in the name of the contractor, which really creates like an arm's length transaction from the homeowner. And listen, from a homeowner's perspective, it sounds really attractive, right? I don't have to do anything. The contractor or roofer is going to do everything for me. It's not going to cost me anything. And potentially I'm going to get a new roof. And I hear lots of people getting new roofs. So if your roof is at its 10 or 15 year, getting close to the end of the life cycle, I could see why so many people are falling into this scheme, not knowing that it's really bad actors.
Right, and Chairman Rommel, from a financial standpoint, it's crippled Tallahassee to a point where, what was the percentages of lawsuits that are taking place? And by the way, with these assignment of benefits, I understand that oftentimes they're charging the insurer 2x, 3x, 4x to replace the roof, and if they say no, there's a lawsuit.
The amount of money that was spent on litigation, it's actually staggering. Over the previous 7 years, Florida insurance companies paid out $15 billion in claims. And in today's society, when watching thrown out billions like they're nickels, we don't even know if 15 billion is a lot of money. But out of the 15 billion, 10.4 billion of that money went to pay attorneys. So 4.6 went to fix homes, 10.4 went to attorneys. And Paul, what you were saying about AOB, and after Irma, obviously there was a lot of damage. I know neighbors of mine that didn't realize they signed AOB and were wondering why their home wasn't getting fixed in a timely fashion, and other people's homes were. And once those contractors signed an AOB, well, the insurance company stops. They're not repairing the home because now they're involved in a major litigation. And, yes, we had bad insurance companies, but when homeowners didn't know that they were assigning their rights, and then they couldn't get out of it. Once they signed the rights, they couldn't get out of it. And, the legal process took, sometimes years to facilitate, and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal costs for maybe a $25,000 repair. And with the bill that we just passed a couple weeks ago, that will no longer happen.
So that's a great point, Chair Rommel. And think about this from the consumer's perspective. The guy shows up to your house. Many times it's on a tablet, it says just initial here. You don't even really know what you signed. You just know he says he promises you can get a free roof. Many times they don't even know that they've signed over their entire claim to this third party that they don't even know that's going to file a lawsuit. And you had referenced, why are they charging so much for these roofs? Why is it 3-4 times the amount? Well, the dirty little secret is many of these bad actors actually don't do any of the work, right? So they'll go and they'll sign these assignment of benefits. They'll file a lawsuit. They'll ask for 4 times the amount of whatever the market rate is. Once they finally do get a settlement, if they do get a settlement, they then hire a local roofer at usually half the cost to replace the roof, and they pocket the difference.
They fly off on their private jet, and that's not an exaggeration.
Right. These are sophisticated marketing companies, not local roofers, blue-collar workers in your community. These are guys, and they're, perpetuating this not just in Florida, but in other states and other coastal areas. It's a real big problem.
So with recent legislation and forward thinkers like Mike Fasulo over here, we now have to realize that that the rate increases were not because of some faulty system or some government waste. There was a real crisis at hand, of which has been resolved. So now we have to focus on the agents, many of whom have gone out of business, and the consumer. So as we move forward with this, what ray of sunshine does the agent now have? Mike, perhaps I'll ask you this, now that we're going to see meaningful change.
Yeah, so let me back up a bit. And the reason my brother and I got out of the roofing replacement business that we were in for nearly 3 decades was because of seeing the roofing contractor went from retail, I come out, I quote your roof because you need to replace it, to where the vast majority of roofing contractors in the U.S. today are restoration contractors that appear to be a retail contractor. They're trying to get you a free roof. Almost every retail job they show up to, they're looking for damage, as you had said, Paul. So there's that side of it, a lot of bad actors, and there are some good restoration contractors. Every roofing contractor is not a bad roofing contractor. But then you have the manufacturing side of this. So since the early 2000s, there's been 1/3 of the asphalt taken out of the asphalt shingle. So the roof that's on your home today is not the roof that was on the home, your childhood home. And so now you have shingles also failing prematurely across the United States. Some experts claim that pretty much any steep slope roof, asphalt roof, is a roof that's failing prematurely. And I would say, and Glenn, I know you're a roofing contractor, we see roofs all of the time that are 5, 10 years old, and the granules are shedding off. That's the sunblock for the roof.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
And that shouldn't happen in the past. That didn't start to happen until you're 15 or you're 20. A roof will go for 25, 30 years. Today's roofs in Florida are going for 10 or 15. And in northern markets like Ohio, they're going for 15 or 20. Yet the product is being sold as a 40, 50 year, or even a lifetime product.
And this is a petrochemical, so taken off prematurely, which many roofs are, because of the aforementioned reasons, these are all going into the landfill, and they're going to live there for 300 years.
Yep.
If not more.
So we're compounding this problem more and more, where it, I'll reintroduce Mike again. Mike comes up with a concept of, we don't. 90% of the roofs that he walks on and that you walk on, yes, they're old, but they can live longer. And instead of being replaced and thrown into the dumpster, Mike has come up with, well, I'll let you explain it, but essentially an organic compound, soy methyl ester, which doesn't coat it, it doesn't clean it, it doesn't seal a roof. Explain what it does.
Yeah, it's very simple. Asphalt shingles must stay flexible to remain strong and waterproof to protect the home, to protect the property. Just like an asphalt road, when it dries out, you end up with a pothole. It's time to repair or replace the road. So less asphalt in an asphalt shingle means they dry out quicker. They become brittle, they blow off in the wind. And all we're doing is reintroducing a plant-based treatment, an oil that goes back in to the shingle to reflexibilize the asphalt, to make it strong and flexible. So it's just a simple treatment. It's like water sealing your deck, if you will, or concrete.
So you maintain your car, you maintain your home, your windows, but perhaps the most the most ignored is the roof. It's not sexy. You don't have good resale value with a new roof like you do a new kitchen.
People didn't know to maintain their roof.
That's it. So now you've been on roofs that have been treated by Roof Maxx and Mike's company. Is this a real thing?
It is a real thing, and so, you know, you look at a roof that has been extremely dry and brittle. I step up on one of those roofs like that, I know the granule is going to be really loose. And let's be realistic here. I'm not a small guy, right? You know, and you step on the loose granules, and you're going to slide. And you know, we wind up looking at that. You've got these heavily loose granules on a steep slope roof. And what we mean by that is something greater than 3 inches to 12 inches lift, which is virtually every home in Florida, right? So you step on one of those, and the steeper you go, and we've only gotten steeper and steeper as building technology has come, and those granules start sliding. You wind up sliding off that roof. Now you got a health hazard. And the benefit of bringing in a restoration product, okay, is that you are putting that material back into that that skin conditioning, okay, and that's essentially what you're doing. You're allowing that material not to be dry and brittle. You're giving it some flexibility, and when we have the winds that we do, we want our roofs to be somewhat flexible so that they can come back and continue to protect the structure.
Well, I want to say this, you know, and Roof Maxx or rejuvenation as a whole, we're not the only player in the game. Right. We've created the industry, but now there's other entrants in it, which is wonderful. It's good for the consumer. It's why we went down this path. But many of the roofs in Florida, as an example, that were being denied or getting cancellation policies in the past, simply based on the age of the roof, they didn't even need Roof Maxx. Sure, it would benefit them, but they didn't even need it. The roof still had 5 years life remaining.
Easily.
Yes, and many of them didn't. Maybe Roof Maxx could help many of those roofs, but it's irrelevant. The law that's been passed is protecting the property owner because now it's based on condition of roof, not age of roof. And that was the big problem that really needed to be fixed, and that's why I think what was resolved.
Yeah, and let's head back to Chairman Rommel for that. That was a big feather in the proverbial legislature's cap, was to change that to age of roof. Please explain.
That was part, but I want to back up a little bit more. Another part of the legislation was previously, if a roof had more than 25% damage, again, it's subjective to a contractor or appraiser. If it had more than 25% damage, by law, they had to get a new roof. So as an insurance company, if a contractor comes and says, hey, it has 27%, or 30%, or 40% damage, you have to take a chance in whether or not you're going to either replace that roof or face possible litigation. So in the past, we actually had many more roofs that were replaced just because of the fear of being sued, because maybe it actually had 27% damage, or maybe it was 24, we don't know. And you had also mentioned, somebody had mentioned how people maintain their automobiles. I mean, most people make sure they get an oil change every 5 or 10,000 miles because they don't want to void the manufacturer's warranty. You know, you may have a warranty of 5 years or 100,000 miles on your car, but if you don't maintain it, that warranty is not going to hold up if your engine blows up. And I think with roofs, you know, especially in Florida, we have this, you know, extremely unique environment of high humidity, high rain, and high winds. And if you don't maintain it, it is going to fail before its effective life. That's what, you know, looking at your product as one of the nice things. And if we could, you know, get consumers to realize that you have to maintain your roof like you do your air conditioning unit in your home. I mean, in Florida, everybody makes sure their air conditioning works because I don't care if you're poor or rich, you want air conditioning, especially when it's 94 degrees, torrential rains outside. So I think it's great that there's a product like this, and I think it will help train consumers that make sure they maintain their you know, their roofs like they do other products. But the 25%, making sure that consumers don't have to replace it after 25% wear and tear or damage is a big portion of the legislation also.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on the non-renewals, right? From the insurance company's perspective, why do they want to non-renew these policies if the roof age is beyond a certain level? Really, what's happening in practice with the bad actors, not only are they targeting geographic areas, but they're targeting neighborhoods that have roofs that are 10 years plus. Well, why would they want to target neighborhoods where the roofs are 10 years plus? Is because there's weathering on those roofs, right? So if they go into a neighborhood, all the roofs in that neighborhood are 10 years plus, they know they're going to find something up there, some weathering, some maintenance issue that they can point back, go into the historical weather archives and say, oh yeah, no, this damage was a result of this storm that happened 6 months ago. So the insurance company is not looking at the roof and saying, we don't think that there's any useful life left. What they're saying is the bad actors are targeting these type of roofs, which is skewing our underwriting, which is skewing our ability to be profitable, so we don't want to target that business. So if you have a roof that's 10 plus years old, it's not that we feel like your roof is at the end of its useful life, it's that the bad actors are targeting. What I love about the Roof Maxx product, not only from the aesthetics, obviously your roof is going to look much nicer if you maintain it, that granular loss, that weathering is going to be limited. So as a roofer goes out, if you had that same neighborhood that was 10 years old and every single roof in there was using your product and the roofers went out there, they wouldn't see the amount of weathering. They wouldn't see the maintenance issues, and the insurance companies would feel more comfortable underwriting that neighborhood because obviously the roof is in much better condition. So that has positive implications, again, not only from the aesthetics, but policyholders will be able to keep their insurance. The rates will likely be less. I mean, it has tangible benefits, not only for the insurance industry, but for consumers as well.
And I want to add, reputable contractors don't go knock on doors to find business. Reputable contractors have business, and they usually have a backlog. At our old replacement company, in the heat of the summer, you were waiting 3 or 4 weeks to get your roof put on. And that's the same with any reputable contractor, whether it be roofing, home builders, you name it. So if somebody's knocking on your door, you need to figure out why are they knocking on your door and who are they?
And here's just a PSA for consumers, right? So like you said, there's many credible roofing contractors across our state. They fill a very important need. I have no problem if a roofing contractor wants to go into a neighborhood and say, hey, listen, Chair Rommel, I saw your roof. It looks like it's getting towards the end of its useful life. I'd love to give you a quote to replace it. We've been in business here locally for 20 years. Yes. We got a great staff, workers' comp, great building materials. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing it. I can do a free inspection. The moment that they say, go get me your insurance policy. Yes. Let me read your contract and tell you if you have coverage under your policy. And by the way, I can help you through the claims process. I can get your insurance company to buy this new roof. And if they give us any problems, you don't have to do anything. We'll file the litigation ourselves. Just initial on this tablet. And the reason why that's a problem is if you look at insurance, that's regulated to the states to regulate that industry. Every person in insurance is licensed. Insurance agent has a license. Insurance companies are licensed. Insurance adjusters are licensed. There's a reason why they have special licensure, because there's education. Insurance contracts are complicated. They also carry professional liability, all these actors in the insurance industry, in case something goes wrong. Do you really think a roofing contractor who misinforms a policyholder about their insurance contract that their general liability insurance is going to cover them for that professional liability? Of course not, because that's outside the scope of their work. The moment they enter into the insurance sphere, that's when they cross the line. And the bad actors, those are the guys, that's what they're doing. They're inserting themselves into the insurance world for their own benefit and gain.
Yes. Well, Paul, wait a minute. But at the same time, I can sit there and say, here's this new roof, and we'll be able to do A, B, and C. Here, sign this tablet. That should be the very first warning for that client, and it isn't, because all that client knows is what they were just told. I'm going to get you a new roof. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I can get you a new roof, and it may be 2 years down the line before you see that new roof, but I can get you a new roof.
And somebody's paying for it.
Oh, yes, without a doubt.
It's you, it's me, it's my children. We're the ones paying for it.
Correct.
Yeah, we're all paying for it. And to your point, thankfully, we're having programs like this to educate consumers, but this has become a more visible problem over the past years. And thanks to Chairman Rommel with passing House Bill 305 to kind of spotlight some of these problems with assignment of benefits. But prior to that, homeowners didn't know that this was a scam.
Right.
They didn't know it was a scheme. You know, the guys that come up and show up to their front door, they seem very credible,
Sure.
well-dressed, well-spoken. It sounds like, yeah, if I've been paying my insurance all these years, if I'm actually, entitled to a free roof and my roof is 10 years old, why would I take an opportunity to do that?
Yeah.
But now I think consumers are starting to catch on that
Yes.
these folks that come to knock on your door, the problem is it's precipitated this crisis now where people are having a hard time finding insurance and it's getting very expensive. So welcome Roof Maxx.
Yep.
There's a product out there now where you can actually maintain your roof as you go, which not only benefits you as a consumer. Do you want to have to replace your roof in 10 years? I don't think so, right? If you could go ahead and maintain it and not have to replace it for 20 years or whatever the manufacturer warranty really is, that's a huge cost saving for consumers, but also the ancillary benefits for the insurance in tandem with that. So I'm just so happy about your product, and every time I speak to a homeowner, I tell them all the time.
Mike, I think Chairman Rommel, by accident, perhaps gave you a great marketing term called an oil change. He referred
Oil
to
change
it.
for your roof, absolutely.
You're taking, the petrochemical and you're replacing it with an organic compound. And vis-a-vis, you're helping the consumer, you're helping the insurance agency. It's really a white hat thing you're doing.
And the environment.
And the environment.
Yeah.
It's an oil change. Yeah. Now, did I also see that it was Ohio State University and Battelle Laboratories? So this is clinical studies.
Yeah, we've had studies done by the Ohio State University, environmental impact studies as well. We've had testing done by the same testing labs that test brand new roofing materials, and we passed the same flexibility testing on aged shingles, 17-year-old shingles in this specific case, passed the same flexibility testing as a brand new roof. Now you have to treat every 5 years to remain flexibility, and every roof is not treatable. That's why we have to go out and take a look at the property, make sure that the roof is, we assess the roof to see if it qualifies. But we can treat up to 3 times, and we can double the life of many roofs. There are roofs that we can't help, and in that case, we refer them over to a roofing contractor.
And you, in fact, guarantee the malleability of the roof for up to 5 years.
We guarantee it for 5 years, for a 5-year period.
5 years. So now we get back to what the legislature said, which is now it is no longer condition of roof, it's age of roof. So you could take a 15-year-old roof, spray it with Roof Maxx, get someone to come out, check it, and submit it to your insurer, and you should be held in good faith with your insurer.
So I would say, tell me if I'm correct, really what you want to do is get this product on your roof early.
Yeah.
Don't wait till it's 15 years old. When your roof becomes first 5 years old, put the application on, and then do it every 5 years thereafter.
Yes.
Because what that roof looks like at 15 years is maybe what other normal roofs look like at 5 years.
To use Chairman Rommel's analogy, you don't wait until your engine is making noise and then replace the oil or change the oil. You do it in advance and maintain the car, and it's the same thing now with a roof. The sooner you do it, you don't want to treat a brand new roof. There's no benefit. But once the granules start to shed off into the gutters, the roof is now undergoing stress. Once enough oils have evaporated, that roof is now undergoing stress during contraction and expansion. Thinking in Florida, a roof will be 140, 150 degrees, and a thunderstorm passes, and that roof, thermal shock, the roof will cool to 60, 70 degrees in a matter of minutes. Thunderstorm passes, sun comes back out, the roof is back up to 150 degrees. And so that's when that roof undergoes stress, and that's when a roof starts to break down. Again, it's why you get a pothole on the road.
I think it gets back to educating consumers and homeowners out there. For years, because of bad legislative policies, we've had the bad actors for years telling them, hey, you've paid your insurance for 10 years, get a free roof. Hey, you have a little bit of mold in your attic, get a free roof. Hey, you do this. But now consumers, the ones that haven't taken advantage of, we'll say, poor legislation and bad actors, they're saying, oh my God, my insurance is canceled and it just got tripled, and now I'm with Citizens. What is going on? Because they never thought about maintaining the roof the way they would do some other, investment that they had. And, never, somebody was talking about the environmental advantage. I mean, think of all the hundreds of thousands of roofs that were done in the last couple of years that didn't need to be done, besides the petroleum products that were used, the landfill that's being used up, the gasoline, or the trucks that are, driving the material. But I think consumers are paying attention now because the insurance premium is hitting every single person in the pocketbook, and then many people can't get it at all. So that's why they screamed at us. That's why Governor DeSantis stepped in and made sure that the Speaker of the House and the President knew how serious it was, and we weren't going to go home until good policy was done. And now I think we all have a job to help educate for homeowners that, okay, it's back, it's time to maintain home also.
And you in the legislature, you guys passed My Florida Safe Homes. Could you expand on that, further incentivizing what we're referring to as, rejuvenation?
No, it's another good thing. And if you think that if you get a little wind damage, you're going to get a free roof or a free window, you don't do anything. But now you're saying, oh my goodness, I actually have to maintain my home, because my insurance company is not going to maintain it for me. Because I think consumers forgot insurance was for an event that happened, and that's going to change.
Yeah, and just to talk about the My Florida Safe Home program. So we had that program implemented after the 2004-2005 hurricanes, where there was matching dollars. For every dollar that you put in for wind hardening renovation projects, you would get $1. This program that the legislature just passed is actually even better, because every dollar you put in, you can get $2 in grant matching, and it's up to $10,000 for the total grant that you can get. So if you have a roof, let's say it's $15,000 to replace the shingle roof, or to apply whatever the coating is on it, they'll match 2/3 of that cost. So some roofs may be too far gone that Maxx is not a product for them, and they'll have to replace it. But there are other folks that maybe the roof is at 5 years, doesn't need to be replaced, but they can take advantage of this grant, 2 for $1, and get this applied as a wind hardening feature.
Let's go back to Glenn over here. Glenn, do you see a future where perhaps shingle manufacturers can finally get back to real shingles? Do you see a day where roofers can get back to being roofers again? Or what do you see as a result of what's been happening and what could happen?
It would be nice for us to get back to doing true roofing and follow through with that aspect. The problem being is we will always have a bad actor. There will always be someone to try to circumvent the system, okay? And it doesn't matter where we're at, right? We'll have a storm come through and the bad actors are going to show up. They're always going to be there. What we truly need is just what we've had happen is legislation in many respects, okay? To where we say, this is what we have to do to protect our residents, followed with proper education of the insurance community. I think combined, then we have that opportunity to get back to true roofing and creating a viable roofing product here in Florida.
Mike, could you tell us a little bit about Dennis Gurjone, who was a Florida resident and got one of these letters, which a lot of people are getting, that says, hey, you're done. You're done. You got to get a new roof on your dime. Tell us that story, please.
Yeah, one of our dealers received a call from Dennis, went out to his home, and ended up treating his roof prior to him receiving the letter. I think he received the letter about a year later, and so he contacted the dealer, who then put together all of the information needed to send to the insurance company. And they said, sorry, we're still canceling it. And he just wouldn't take that. No was not acceptable. Right. He knew that his roof was in better condition. He felt that it was, that it easily had another 5 years left. And he was in the construction industry for years, so he understood what was actually happening. And ended up having a conversation with the CEO somehow of the insurance company. I think it was almost by mistake. And he said, I'm not sure how we got on this call, but I'm glad that we did. I went and spoke to the people in underwriting. We're very aware of the product. We believe in the product. We've looked at the studies from Ohio State University and so on. And we're going to renew your policy. And that insurance company was actually in conversations about thinking, is there a way to incentivize their insureds to treat their roof, not necessarily with our product, but with a rejuvenation treatment. This is happening in the commercial roofing industry at scale. When I started in the roofing industry in the mid-'80s, commercial roofs, flat roofs, were not maintained. You put them on, you did repairs, and then you tore them off and replaced them. Today, commercial roofs are maintained, and there's products. GE has entered the commercial roofing space with coatings and treatments. So it was natural that this would happen on the steep slope side with asphalt shingles.
So we're going to take a look real quick at Dennis's story. We have it on tape. We'll take a look at that right now.
We were notified as property owners that our insurance said that it was too old and they weren't going to insure me, and I questioned their ability to make that judgment call. Their determination was made based on calendar, not upon condition. I went back to Maxx and they sent an individual out here to do a comprehensive test. Test was done, showed that my roof was in good shape and did have a substantial life left. I found my way to the head of the underwriting division for the insurance company, explained my circumstance. He had, I guess, enlightened himself by reviewing the documents that were sent. He expressed confidence in the RoofMax product. He was very cognizant of the fact that RoofMax was in business, and he was also well aware of the product and what it represented, and that they would make a decision based on the capabilities of the product. He made a call, and the call was, we feel very comfortable with the fact that we should continue to insure this property.
And then, Mike, it's incumbent upon me to ask you, this guy went the hard way. He went
Correct.
to the CEO of a company with what to the company was an unproven product, so some sort of crazy thing, and he signed off on it. So now, is it incumbent upon you and your dealers to talk to agents in their respective area to educate them that this is a real thing?
Absolutely. We should be, and we plan at the corporate level to be educating insurance agents, not just here in Florida, but nationwide. The problem that we're facing here in Florida just happened to be much more at scale because of the situation, the climate. Of course, the hurricanes, also some of the local laws. The new law would have, Mr. Gregone wouldn't have had to deal with the same situation. He wouldn't have had to fight so hard and stand his ground. The new law protects Mr. Gregone and others like him. But yes, we really want to go out and educate the insurance agents because they're the front line. They're the ones that are receiving these phone calls. They're the ones having their clients come in to their offices, very upset, being forced into a new $10,000, $15,000, $30,000 roof, depending.
Yeah. So if you look at the new law, basically what it says is if the roof is 15 years or older, right, the insurance company can send out a non-renewal or a cancellation notice. And remember, an insurance company, for efficiency and scale, they're not looking at every single roof, right? They're looking at the roof age. If it's past the 15-year cutoff, their system will say everybody that has this underwriting criteria is going to get a non-renewal. The new law says now you as a homeowner can reach out and have that discussion with your insurance company if you believe that there's still 5 years of useful life to your roof. And some of those people could have a RoofMax product already on their roof.
Yep.
So just because it's 15 years old doesn't mean that it doesn't have that useful life.
Yeah.
So now there's a pathway where you can have that conversation, and then the insurance company can then pick a contractor, come out, inspect the roof, and if they can verify that, yes, maybe you got RoofMax on this roof, there's clearly more than 5 years of useful life, they can maintain their insurance. So a great work product that Chairman Rommel and legislature put into the bill.
And why the agents need to spend the time educating their clients, because, again, this is confusing. There's just a lot of content, and it's very confusing, and they're still going to receive the letters. And so,
right, so consumers need to know that they have the right, and somebody needs to educate them that when you get that letter, there's a pathway and a framework that you can go and actually have your roof evaluated and maybe maintain your coverage.
Glenn, have you ever walked on a roof that was treated by RoofMax
Yes.
and failed said roof?
No. All right. So there's some realities to that. And let's go back to a little bit what Mike had brought up as well. There is a difference between a treatment product, such as Maxx, and a coating product. Okay, so as one of those inspectors who go out and look at this, and by the way, Paul, my clients are being inundated with letters from their carriers saying you have X amount of time to get your roof redone, or we're not renewing. So we're getting that all the time with that. But to go with what is a treated product versus what is a coated product. The minute I treat a product, that product still exists. It is still has some viability. It's still exposed to the elements. But if I take it and then coat that roof, or
like an elastomeric coating.
yeah, like an elastomeric and coating, I now stifle that roof. I then kill it at that point in time. And there's, along with all these bad actors, they're selling that just as well, right? And I know from empirical situations to where that roof is dead, and no insurance carrier in the state is going to accept a coated roof versus a treated
And
roof.
the coating does void the manufacturer's warranty.
It does.
really?
Our product
Yeah.
does not, but a coating does, and you'll cause all kinds of problems. You can buy it at Home Depot. Stay away from it. Don't let anybody coat your roof.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's almost like a temporary repair product. If you have a leak or something, you want to coat an area temporarily
Small
before.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not all
Yeah.
of the shingles, and that'll
And
cause-
they do, and we're seeing it daily on that, and it's crazy.
I was looking through the legislation, and I'm not an analyst by any means, but I did see the term third-degree felony in there, did I not?
Yes.
And if so, who is that targeting?
Paul, you would probably know exactly.
Yeah. So, go back to a couple years ago, we passed Senate Bill 76, and it prohibited these roofers from going around soliciting these type of claims and neighborhoods. But there was a temporary injunction where they made an argument that you were infringing on their commercial free speech. So this new legislation, what it says is, okay, you can solicit, but you have to provide a disclosure to the consumer. And that disclosure is you cannot rebate a deductible. If you rebate a deductible for a homeowner, that's a third-degree felony. If you file a claim that's misleading, has any missing information, that's also a third-degree felony. So this disclosure now, we were talking about when the roofer or the contractor goes out to the property owner, hey, just sign here on the iPad, not knowing. Now they have to provide this disclosure so people at least see that, hey, listen, if this isn't done properly, there's some repercussions here, and that this could be a felony. And that's not only on written, but also digital solicitations as well. So you're probably hearing a lot of the bad actors are using social media or text messaging. Now, any of those type of mediums that they're using to solicit has to include those type of disclosures to the consumer. Otherwise, it's a third-degree felony.
And mind you, the bad actors are out there getting everybody to sign an agreement and just throw it against the wall and whatever sticks. So if the adjuster comes out from the insurance company and doesn't buy it, it still goes against you on your insurance record. It doesn't mean they're going to cancel you, but they see that the insurance company doesn't want to see that you're filing claims.
Oh, that's such a great point. And the underwriting criteria for most insurance companies, regardless if they make a payment, like you said, anytime a claim is filed, that goes on your CLUE report, which is like your credit report for a homeowner. And that stays on there for a certain amount of years. And what the criteria is, if you have more than 3 claims within 3 years, you become uninsurable. That means the insurance industry won't underwrite you. And it's not only in the private market, but that's also for citizens. Now imagine a situation where you have bad actors convincing you to file claims. Certainly they're not telling you that, hey, this is going to go on your credit report. You only got 3 claims to make within a certain period of time. This is going to utilize one of those. But if you can't get coverage in the private market, then you go to Citizens, which is the residual market mechanism, and they reject you because of that underwriting. You could put yourself in a situation, if you have a mortgage, where the lender force places insurance on you, which is usually 2 to 3 times the cost, less broad in coverage, and many times you're not even listed as the insured. So think about somebody that's on a fixed income. that all of a sudden your insurance balloons to 3 times the cost and they put it as part of your mortgage. If you don't make that payment now, they're going to foreclose on your property. Right? So just filing claims, when they're not warranted or they're not legitimate, consumers need to be aware because there are implications for them on whether or not they're going to get insurance in the future.
And you, as the property owner, wouldn't even have a clue. They've led you to believe that you should call the insurance company. So you assume there's damage.
As we know, the bad actors are going to continue. They're probably having their own Teams or Zoom call right now, how to get around that, whether 76 or the bill that we just passed. And unfortunately, they're going to come back. But with the bill that we passed and with the product that you have, consumers are going to see that there's options. And consumers I believe, are going to want to maintain their home, since now they realize that if they continue to file, non-legitimate claims, they're not going to be able to get insurance at all. And I think if you look at the bill, we've painted a good picture there that we're going to give consumers the option. You don't have to replace your roof if you have 25% damage. You can choose a higher deductible if you want to maintain your home and you feel the risk is. And what's really important about the bill that we passed, during a catastrophic event, a hurricane, it's all out the window. People, if your roof is damaged and needs to be replaced, it's going to get replaced. Even going back over the past number of years, only 10% of claims that were paid were due to catastrophic events. Most were non-catastrophic events. It could have been just a minor weather event that the storm-chasing bad actor people knew an area where there was some wind, some circulation, maybe some hail, and that's where most of the claims were being paid. In hurricanes, we want to make sure Floridians know that, the state of Florida is going to make sure insurance companies are sound and able to pay claims. But in these non-catastrophic events where these bad actors encourage people to file claims that probably weren't legitimate, that's what's destroyed the market and, and is hurting Floridians right now.
Yeah, I would say if somebody comes and knocks on your door and gives you a sales pitch that sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. And before you sign anything with anybody for that matter, talk to an attorney, talk to, your agent, talk to a trusted family member before you just execute the agreement. And if they're coming with a tablet, say, listen, I'd like you to print out what I'm signing. I'd like to read over it, discuss it with my family. If this is such a great deal, obviously I can get back with you. What's the reason that I have to initial this tablet right now when I don't even really know what I'm signing?
And just because they said they helped your neighbor doesn't mean it's legit.
Correct.
Because
Absolutely.
that's the game they play.
Yeah. So I will start wrapping things up. Chairman Rommel, what you just said I think was perfect, but any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah. I want to give a little bit of plug to, I guess it was Mike that helped create this product, and all of you at Maxx, because if it was me, being a true entrepreneur, I'm sure that if you had continued just in the roof replacement business, you would make a whole ton, way more money than you're going to make on Maxx. Because when these guys I met a contractor that had never been in business in Florida, and he was bragging to me, I guess he forgot who I was, that he'd build $100 million in roofs last year. 3 years ago, he was not in the roof business. So even if he only made 25%, he made $25 million profit when, he was probably, turning wrenches somewhere, 3 years ago. So I commend you for making a product that will help Floridians, it'll help homeowners, and hopefully it'll help stabilize the insurance market too, because people will realize, listen, maintaining a home is a big portion of your responsibility of maintaining your investment. And so I commend you in that, because you could have made and probably continue to make a lot more money just by ripping off shingles and putting new ones on. Well, that was until the bill we passed 2 weeks ago anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Chairman Rommel, thank you very much for you guys getting together up in Tallahassee with a special session, coming out of here with this, but more importantly, crusading this as we move forward. So thank you.
Great. Well, I appreciate having me on, and hopefully this product will help everybody.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Chairman Rommel, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chair.
Paul Handerhan, final thoughts?
Yeah, I would echo Chair Rommel's comments. I'm appreciative to Maxx and their product, because there are a lot of consumers out there that are on fixed incomes and budgets, and this is an alternative where they can be proactive, they can maintain their roof, and it is going to have financial benefits for them long into the future. So like Chair Ramos was saying, yeah, it could be more attractive just to replace these roofs, especially when they're not really at the end of their life cycle. But from the consumer lens, having an alternative, something that's reasonably priced, something that can impact their insurance, the aesthetics of their home, you know, the extended life cycle of their roof so they don't have to replace it, you know, prematurely, are all amazing benefits. So thank you for what you guys are doing and the product that you brought to the marketplace.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Glenn Stevens, I bet it's going to be nice to be able to present to someone who simply cannot afford a $15,000 roof a viable option.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. And it's you know, you look at a product, a treatment product and everything, and that's just it. Making sure that that roof still has that strong life, right? You want to be able to go in and say, you know what, you don't need a new roof. You really don't. You know, there are options here, but it's the education. We have to educate the consumer. We have to educate the construction community, and we have to educate the insurance community. That's where it's really going to be beneficial to the state, right, is the education.
And Mike Fasulo, and end up with you. You know, the My Florida Safe Homes will be giving X amount of border residents of the state of Florida upwards of $10,000, which could really help. But most importantly, you're saving all over the country. You're saving roofs, you're saving money, and you're saving the environment.
Yeah, and that was our intent when we sold our roof replacement business. We had seen the industry, you know, I've said this many times, when we got in the roofing business in the mid-'80s, the roofing industry is one of the top 5 complaint categories nationwide. Mm-hmm. And it's gone from bad to worse. And in 2013, we decided to sell our roof replacement company. We'd built a great business over that period of time, and decided to move down this other path and kind of come to the other side of the fence and figure out a solution. And you know, it's been a long road. It takes a lot of time to educate a market, and that's what we're doing here today. So we're excited to be here and appreciate everybody's time.
Dare we say it's time for an oil change? Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a treat sitting here with you guys today, and hopefully we can educate not only the consumer, but also the agents and really make an impactful change. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right.